Okay, we've got our top three finishers from today's first submission King of the Baggers race here at Daytona International Speedway. A winner today, Kyle Wyman. Second place, Troy Herfuss. And third place, James Rispoli. We'll get started with James. He won a race here last year and ended up second in the championship. You're in the battle to the end on this one. It looked like you had to work pretty hard to get to that, to have the chance to get there because you'd lost the draft a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a struggle this weekend. We've just been trying to dial things in. We haven't gotten many laps. So for me, going into the race, we made a pretty big change, and it seemed to work a little bit. But we still got to work on a few areas. Troy and Kyle are really good in certain areas of the track, which was an advantage for the draft, right? And luckily, I have got an amazing Harley-Davidson that helped me get back there. Me and Tyler kind of got a little bit in a battle there towards the end of the race. And, when these guys kind of started, I wouldn't say messing around, but everyone knows you don't really want to lead here at Daytona out of the chicane. You kind of races over, and it kind of got slow. I thought for sure I was going to have an amazing run through the bus stop and the chicane and to have a good run, but I got to them a little early and had to slow up, and it's tough here. When you don't get a good run through the chicane, it's tough to do anything, and we kind of all stayed just like a few bike lengths off each other, and there was no real runs or anything. We just got kind of stuck, and when you got three bikes in a line, when nobody's kind of opening it up the draft, it made it real difficult. But I'm super happy after this weekend to come away with a third place. I can't tell you how much of a relief it is. Just a little bit of pressure builds when you don't quite have the best weekend and you don't get all the laps and you're not absolutely feeling perfect for the race. But it was a hard race for me. We'll make some changes tonight, and I'm really looking forward for another big battle tomorrow.
Now, you were behind Tyler when he crashed?
Yes. So it just looked like we had about, I don't know, it was like maybe 0.57. I don't know. I felt like it was under a second. Maybe it was a second. It didn't feel that far away, and Tyler was actually pretty good at a 6. So I think he just got a little greedy going in. Everybody was squirming in a few areas of the track, turn 1, turn 6, just fighting for grip. And he just, I think, asked too much of it. He kind of crashed in a straight line, which was weird for me, which also created a gap, from these guys. Kind of checked up a little bit, didn't get the best run out of 6. But I'm super happy.
All right, cool. Second place today, Troy Herfuss. He was just in here not that long ago with his win in the Super Hooligan race. Just missed out by 0.018 of a second from his first King of the Baggers win. You played it differently. Like, I think there's probably 3 ways to win here, and you've won earlier with one way, getting away in the infield. This time you couldn't get away in the infield, and you tried that little stoppy move over there in the chicane, and it almost worked. So you're learning.
I'm learning, yeah. A friend of mine and a bit of a legend in this paddock, Peter Doyle, messaged me yesterday and just said, I'll just leave this here for you. And it was a YouTube clip of Matt and Ben Spees years ago. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. But here's the thought process. I knew we had a gap to 3rd and 4th. So I was like, but I can't lead, so I'm going to lose. He's already drafted me twice. So I was like, I've got to back it up enough where they get on and they get checked up, because if I back it up a little bit, they're just going to come running at us. And I didn't realise Tyler had crashed at that stage. And so I was like half throttle down that back straight, hoping he'd pass me there. And then I could just get a nice run to the finish line. But he was playing the game good. And we're back to like second gear there, you reckon? I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go here. And like I literally just pulled the pin. I'm watching it now on TV, and I'm like, I've got to go. And so I went just as he was coming past me. And I had a perfect draft. But Kyle done a really good job riding down the yellow line. He was tight and made me have to go around the outside and a longer run to the finish line. And I just wasn't good enough. I was just not quite good enough. But happy to lead some laps at Daytona. Happy that I can be competitive, and it's a long, long year. I've never done a championship of 10 rounds, so there's 19 races to go. So we'll just keep chipping away and try and battle these guys every weekend.
You were pretty good today, I'll admit, right? But I think you did make a couple of mistakes, and it seemed like in the International Horseshoe you ran wide twice, I think. I don't know, it was one in the challenge and one now. Is that just when you're trying to get away, you're just getting in there too deep?
In the Hooligans race, I made some mistakes. In that race, I went wide of the first one to let him past,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't realize I had a bit of a gap. And yeah, I'm like, oh
no.
And then but that kind of fooled me because I was like, oh, I've got a gap. Maybe I'm quick enough to get a gap. So then then the next few laps go by trying to break everyone. I'm like, hang on a minute, that's weird. I had a gap there, but now I don't. So I'm reevaluating. Anyway, I could talk all day about it. There was a lot going through my head.
And you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so far so good.
All right, our winner today is Kyle Wyman, as I said, by 0.018 of a second. It's his 13th career win, which is far and away. He's the winningest rider in the King of the Baggers class. Third in championship last year with 7 wins, and one of those wins came here at Daytona. Kyle, were you aware of what he was trying to do when he was trying to do it?
Certainly. Yeah, it's I've never really been in that kind of game exactly like that here, and I always wondered how it would go and how stressed I would be, but it was the last 2 laps were pretty slow, and I was just trying to just sit there and wait and preserve the tire. But I was worried that he was going to slow it down enough that we were going to have a four rider group again, and then anything could happen at that point. So I was like, come on, just go just enough so that we can at least make it a one-on-one fight here. And it kind of turned into that. I was just playing off of Troy at that point, just like wherever he's going to go, I'm going to try to get a run somewhere, somehow. And when he went into the chicane on the last lap, I mean, we were going like 15 mile an hour slower down the back straightaway than we were the rest of the race. And I just refused to go by. But he parked it so hard in the chicane that I thought I was going to have to take another downshift to be able to get out of there. But I just kind of timed where I thought he was going to end up and try to get a run where he kind of got out of my way. As soon as I went by, I might have touched the dirt on the inside there. But I think at that point, that was just the only chance I had. And fortunately, it was the right one. We all know that you can do all the right things here and lose, and you can sometimes do a lot of things wrong and win. So I'm just happy to be on the right side of this one, and yeah, we'll try to keep it going. I've never won the first race of the year, so it's a big deal for me to start off the season like this. I've always left the first round on the back foot, whether we came here and had mechanicals or had a problem at the first Atlanta race. Yeah, it just feels amazing to get the win to start the year.
So Troy's been fast through the infield all week. Was that something that you were concerned about, that he could get away?
I don't know. Yesterday I was able to do like 2 or 3 tenths within 2 or 3 tenths of his split. So I wasn't really too concerned. And, whenever we go racing, if there's kind of anywhere I need to find something, I seem to find it. And, I think that we had actually really different strengths in the infield where it was pretty well evened out. But, the best split's one thing, but, when the tires roasted and we're in the position we were in, I think everybody was fighting for their lives on that rear tire at the end of it. So, yeah, it's just whoever can walk on eggshells, the carefulest.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one for Troy. Actually, Troy, so this is like asking... Oh, sorry, thank you. This is like asking Kyle Wyman who his favorite brother is, so I'm probably not going to get the answer I want. But this is your first weekend, first 2 races in this completely different classes, kind of. Same, obviously, make of motorcycle. Do you favor one over the other? Baggers over hooligan at all?
Definitely the bagger.
And tell us why.
I've grown up on big bikes. Even when I was 16, out of juniors, I bought the biggest dirt bike I could buy, and I went straight to 600 and superbike originally. So the hooligan's more of a it's sort of like, it feels like we're racing Moto3. You don't spin the tire a lot. It turns really fast. Whereas the bagger's sort of like my dream bike. It's like racing flat track with more grip. And that's what and supermoto. It's kind of like supermoto at the end of a supermoto race. So it's everything I loved growing up, and for that reason, it's my favorite bike.
Okay, and then just one for you, James. So comparing last year's bike, the Vance and Hines bike, to this one, both Harley Davidson road glides, is the bike quite different, or does it feel the same to you? How different is it?
Yeah, it's quite different. The biggest thing is just Advance and Hines does their own powertrain. Factory Harley does their own powertrain. So there's some differences there, just the way they react, right? And it's kind of taken me a little bit to understand it. Growing up, or not growing up, but being on the Advance and Hines team for 2 years and developing that package, it's taken a little bit to understand this. And as far as the chassis and stuff goes, they feel pretty similar. We're on the same suspension, same chassis. So, but yeah, things feel different and it takes a little bit to get used to, but, they show the bike's working really good.
Great. Thank you.